The All Progressives Congress National Executive Committee has devolved its powers to the National Working Committee of the party for a period of 90 days. This was adopted by the NEC gathering at its emergency meeting in Abuja. At the meeting attended by President Muhammadu Buhari, party members were also admonished to work in unity in the interest of the party. Correspondent Habida Lawal has the story.
It's the first meeting of party executives since the National Convention. The business of the day here is to take critical decisions and resolutions that will set the pace for the party's activities over the coming months. One of the critical decisions was devolution of powers by the highest organ of the party to the National Working Committee, which means decisions can be taken without recourse to the NEC. Members were asked to refrain from flaring up grievances, but to make Putin the party first their watchword.
It is said that when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. Similarly, when two powerful groups of politicians fight, the party suffers, because it is trampled underfoot by rich and powerful men. We cannot let this continue, because it constitutes clear and obvious danger to our party. We must have the courage not to be mean-mouthed about it. The serving governors are the leaders of our party in the various states.
We call on all party members to abide by all extant laws, rules, and regulations, and to leaders of our party to avoid imposition of candidates that cannot win popular elections.
Members of the NEC also asked for due process to be followed in the party's activities, leading to the primaries that will produce candidates at all levels. President Muhammadu Buhari also emphasized that the NWC should work to keep the party together.
Survival and self-preservation is the first instinct of any human being. In terms of primaries, please let our members, I'm not asking for favors for our members, but let our members have a fair shake in the primary.
I am constrained to go out of context so that the National Working Committee will be more encouraged that they should go, please, by this, the constitution of the party. Please, how did the APC come about? The PDP sought only time will remove them, and they choose time to be endless. We recognize it. When I say we, ANPP, ACN, Abuja, CPC, and another party. We formed committees, and we gave the committees terms of reference to go and discuss how we can wrest power from PDP. They are not to take decisions, but they will take recommendations to their respective parties.
The proposed schedule of activities for the 2023 general election has been released by the party. It pegs the cost of the presidential ticket at 100 million naira, which is the highest of any political party. Now the ball has been set rolling, and the APC has its eyes set on the general election with the hopes of winning majority votes again. Habida Lawal, TVC News, Abuja.
We begin in Borno State, where at least 6 hostages of Boko Haram terrorists have been rescued by troops of the multinational Joint Task Force. Colonel Muhammad Dole, spokesman of the task force, who disclosed this in a statement, said that the victims were rescued around Tumbun Fulani and Tumbun Rago in the Lake Chad axis. The hostages managed to escape while troops engaged the terrorists in a gun battle and already under medical, they've been taken to a place where they're under medical examination and care. Now, according to him, the rescued women have been moved to Maiduguri for further profiling and handover to civil authorities before they are rejoined with their families. They hail from Adamawa, Borno, Gombe, and Yobe states. and were kidnapped at different places between October 2020 and April 2021. In Abuja, President Muhammadu Buhari is currently meeting with service chiefs, the Inspector General of Police, and some ministers in the council chambers of the presidential villa. The meeting comes 1 week after the National Council of States advised the president to convene a security meeting to deliberate on issues of national security that now threatens the safety of lives and property across the country. In attendance are Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Mongunu, retired. Ministers present at the meeting include the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, and the Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Magashi, retired. Also in attendance are the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Isiaka Amau, and the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, who was represented. President Muhammadu Buhari says that the Boko Haram insurgency has neither religious nor ethnic underpinning, and with adequate education, majority of Nigerians now know the truth. The president disclosed this when he received Karim Ahmad Khan, the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, at the State House in Abuja on Wednesday. He stated that with concerted public enlightenment, it had become clear to the people that Boko Haram was a perversion of religion rather than Islamic ideology. President Buhari told the visiting ICC prosecutor that God is justice and it is absurd to kill innocent people in the name of God. He said the notion that Western education is unacceptable is fraudulent, and that is why the federal government is fighting them and educating the people. The ICC prosecutor said extremism was like cancer, which spreads and can also recede, noting that what Boko Haram does in collaboration with Islamic State West Africa province is perversion of religion. He urged Nigeria and other Sahel and Lake Chad basin countries to get the United Nations Security Council to refer the atrocities committed by the terrorist groups operating in the region to the ICC for investigation and subsequent trial. The Chief of Air Staff has ordered an investigation into the cause of the Super Mushkak trainer aircraft and the crash which occurred on Tuesday in Kaduna. Air Marshal Oladayo Amau's directive is coming on the heels of a visit to the families of the two pilots that lost their lives in the crash. Sifone Sien has the story.
The Nigerian Air Force mourns the death of two of its officers. Flight Lieutenant Abubakar Alkali and Flight Lieutenant Elijah Karatu lost their lives in the Super Mushak aircraft crash on Tuesday at the Air Force Base in Kaduna. Sources say the pilots were on routine training. The Chief of the Air Staff, in a condolence visit to the families of the deceased, also ordered an investigation of the cause of the crash. In the last 18 months, the Nigerian Air Force has recorded at least 4 incidents involving its aircraft. On February the 21st, 2021, a Nigerian Air Force Beechcraft King Air NAV 201 crashed while returning to the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport after reporting an engine failure. All passengers on board lost their lives. On March the 31st, 2021, a Nigerian Air Force Alpha Jet NAV 475 went off the radar. It had 2 crew members who were never found. On May the 21st, 2021, another Nigerian Air Force Beechcraft King Air NAV 203 crashed near the Kaduna International Airport. All 11 military personnel on board, including the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atairu, died. On July the 18th, 2021, a Nigerian Air Force Alpha Jet was downed by enemy fire between Zamfara and Kaduna states. And now, the Super Mushak trainer aircraft went down at the Air Force Base in Kaduna, killing all the crew members. During the condolence visit to the 401 Flying Training School, Kaduna, the Chief of the Air Staff assured the Air Force personnel that measures will be put in place to prevent future occurrence. In a telephone conversation, Group Captain John Ojikutu, retired, said much as the Air Chief has ordered an investigation into the incident, the outcome would never be made public.
The report of an incident of an accident belonging to the Air Force aircraft can never be made public. Okay.
He says what is paramount is that lessons are learned from the accident. A plane crash indicates that something went wrong, but for experts, disclosing the cause of a military plane crash may amount to giving the enemy an advantage. Sifon Isian, TVC News, Abuja.
Into politics now, as the All Progressives Congress has released its primary election timetable for various public offices ahead of the 2023 general elections. The timetable was released by the party after its National Executive Committee meeting on Wednesday in Abuja. The party's presidential candidates will now pay 100 million naira for the nomination form, while the governorship candidates are to pay 50 million naira. The price of nomination form for State House of Assembly pegged at 2 million naira, while the House of Representatives is 10 million naira and the Senate is 20 million naira. Now, according to the schedule, a notice of election to state chapters would commence on April the 22nd, while sale of forms for the various public offices will begin from April the 23rd to May the 6th. Meanwhile, the party has approved a 50% reduction in the price of nomination forms for individuals under the age of 40 years. With the price slash now, purchase of the nomination form for the presidential election for under 40 years of old is now 50 million naira instead of 100 million naira. Governorship candidates 25 million naira instead of 50 million naira, while those vying for the House of Representatives will now pay 5 million naira and the Senate hopefuls 10 million naira. And to health matters now, President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the Minister of Health, Dr. Osagi Ehanire, to submit a progress report by the end of next month on the indigenous production of vaccines in the country. The President gave the directive while receiving the leadership of the Nigeria Integrated Biopharmaceuticals Industries Consortium, led by the Chief Executive Officer of the Fred Lab. The President commended the consortium made up of European biotechnology companies who are collaborating with the Nigerian startup PIA Biopharma to establish a world-class biopharma industry complex for the manufacture of vaccines and essential therapeutics in Nigeria.
Increasing the capacity for in-country production of vaccines and medical supplies has therefore become a matter of not just urgency, but of national security. As we saw, many nations who had developed comparative advantages in being centers of biopharmaceutical productions adopted a me-first attitude towards securing their citizens. These actions place developing nations, particularly those in Africa, at severe disadvantage. I therefore direct the Honorable Minister of Health and his team to work closely with the Nigerian Integrated Biopharmaceuticals Industries Consortium on the federal government support required for the actualization of the Nigeria Integrated Biopharmaceuticals Industries project within the next few months, and to submit progress reports for my review by the end of May 2022.
You're watching TVC News. The police in Delta State rescued 5 underage girls who were trafficked from River State and used as sex slaves in a hotel in Ughelli South local government area. The police say a middle-aged lady, Joy from Patani, who is now at large, trafficked the girls and forced them to take an oath before they commenced the illegal act. Iken Amechi has the story.
This 13-year-old girl here says she was tricked by a lady who introduced her to sex slavery. Her story, which is similar to 4 others here, is a pathetic one.
Provision. As we can't reach there, na shower work. And the woman can't tell me, say, no way to come back again. And as I won't come run, can't seize all my clothes. If I no work, I no go eat from morning to night. Then if I want the amount of money when tossing my work, you go give me food.
The woman carries go juju. The man can't give me candle with snap. The man tell me say any money I make, if I hide them, say I go die. I can't start the work. As I don't tire, now I can't escape.
Though they escaped from the brothel in Patani, they soon landed in another one in Ugele South, which this lady operated with her escapee husband.
Now, I tell you, say they reached there on Wednesday. Then they say they go back. They beg my husband say on Saturday they go now go back to their village.
See, the dog hustle for like 2 days.
I mean, I don't know. Come I know they go to that department. My department is to serve drink. I don't know what they do reach.
The Commissioner of Police, who condemned the moral decadence in the society, disclosed more about checking rising cases of underage prostitution.
Lack of parental care on the part of the parents and what have you. Societal malaise generally can be accounted for all these things. They make money for her. At the end of the day, she gives them 1,000 naira in the morning. The remaining money, she takes the money. That one too is on the run. Efforts are on to ensure that we track her down to account for her deeds. In the interim, the girls have been brought here, rescued. An investigation is already ongoing.
In Nigeria, activities of pimps, underage prostitution, and the operation or ownership of brothels are penalized under Section 223, 224, and 225 of the Nigerian Criminal Code. A thorough investigation of these cases and the prosecution of those found culpable will serve as a deterrent to other offenders. Ikenna Amechi, TVC News, Asaba.
The Inspector General of Police says expert advice is being sought in the case of death of gospel singer Osinachi Nwachukwu. Mr. Peter Nwachukwu, the man being held by the police for allegedly being responsible for his wife's death, has been brought before the IGP following an advocacy visit by the Minister of Women Affairs. The family of the deceased gospel singer Osinachi of the Ekweme fame, who were also present at the meeting, are pressing for justice and charges. We have details in this report.
The Minister of Women Affairs wants speedy delivery of justice in the case of the death of Osinachi Nwachukwu, the gospel singer who died allegedly as a result of physical abuse suffered from her husband. That's why she has led an advocacy visit to the Inspector General of Police.
The revelations revealed to me from the children, it coincides with most of what you've been reading on social media. Our heart is broken. Osinachi's death is one out of so many that we cannot let go.
The police chief discloses that the investigation is advancing and expert advice is being sought from the National Hospital and the Minister of Justice in the case.
Meanwhile, in all cases of this nature, there is an expert opinion which is required. And it is because of this that the police have approached the National Hospital where the corpse is deposited to conduct a post-mortem examination to get an expert opinion as to the cause of death. As soon as this opinion is received at our end, we will finish our investigation and charge the suspect to court for possible prosecution. It is a matter that will impress the entire nation. It is a matter that will impress the government, and therefore the Office of the Attorney General will also be involved in looking into our investigation for them to do the arraignment and possible prosecution.
The presence of Mr. Peter Nwachukwu, Osinachi's husband, who is being held for being allegedly responsible for his wife's death, triggered emotions from the deceased singer's family members. Since the gospel singer died, there have been growing agitations for justice over her death.
Women advocates are canvassing for the establishment of policies that would address workplace sexual harassment in Nigeria. Speaking at the official presentation of a document, the advocates expressed worry that more workplaces in the country are becoming unsafe for women due to lack of policies to address the situation. Helen Osamide King's report.
Sexual harassment and discrimination are not issues unique to Nigeria, but are experienced in workplaces all around the world. A recent research extract in the Federal Capital Territory by Hair Women Development shows that 3 in 5 women have experienced physical sexual harassment, which respondents reported in form of unwelcome touching, deliberate pinching, among others. 14% of the respondents revealed that they have been raped at work, while the major perpetrators of sexual harassment at work are seen to be supervisors, as 91% of such cases reported. Due to outdated Nigerian labor laws that do not directly address these forms of inappropriate workplace behaviors, many victims are not aware of legal options available to them at a toxic workplace. Cultures also do not offer employees the support they need to report such incidents. Here at this workshop on career barriers against young women in Nigeria, this gender advocate calls for policies that will address sexual harassment at the workplace, as many establishments are now becoming unsafe for women.
Some ladies have accepted it as their fate. It's like it's a normal thing. We just have to live by it. So we are here to discuss those policies, those laws, those procedures that would decide here, and then we'll push forward that they should be implemented.
They are also of the opinion that more sensitization should be done to educate women on situations that should be considered sexual harassment. If young women are empowered with adequate tools to recognize and report sexual harassment at workplace, there are possibilities that they will excel in their careers and leadership aspirations. Helen Osamide Kings, TVC News, Abuja.
Parents have been urged to intensify efforts on their parenting skills and monitor their children at home, school, or while with friends in order to build responsible future leaders. The Commissioner of Police, Ogun State Command, made this known during the Ramadan lecture of the command. He noted that parents have a huge role to play concerning the training of their children in responsible and godly way, noting that failure in their duties can cause many problems for the society. Other speakers want religious leaders and other stakeholders to come together and find solution to the increasing rate of crime in the society, especially among youths and children.
I will believe and we are prayed for you.
We enjoin parents to pay particular attention to the activities of their children, whether at home or elsewhere. This will no doubt reduce the incidence of crimes and criminality amongst the youth.
All the atrocities in our society, all the vices in our society, all crime are local. Because all these children or adults, they are from one family or another.
We have found out that every parent must be on the lookout for their children, whether at home, in school, within the community, and wherever they find themselves, because that's about the only legacy we can leave after leaving this world. And so, and of course, the environment also shows that the police are not relenting in their effort. It's not only about enforcement, but we're also using this medium, to reach out to parents, to reach out to the children, to be able to have a change in their ways of life.